In this video clip, we will show how a project progresses through one single iteration and how all 6 core processes are included. We will use RMO's trade show system as our example. We will look at the first iteration. The SDLC is a general description of how to build a system. The steps of an SDLC are carried out as a project. A project is a planned undertaking that has a definite beginning and a defined ending, and it produces a specific outcome or a result. An overall project will develop the entire system. However, each iteration is a mini-project. It starts, it ends, and it produces something. We saw this figure in a previous video. This is a graphical representation of an overall SDLC project. This is just a generalized picture to show how a project might proceed. Again, notice that the overall project is divided into iterations or mini-projects. Each iteration usually involves all 6 core processes, and each iteration produces some result. One thing you should note in this example is that each core process has several activities. In other words, to carry out a core process requires several steps. We won't identify them specifically in this overview. You will learn more about the individual activities later, but each core process has internal activities. The RMO trade show system. So, what is the need? Well, purchasing agents attend trade shows. While they're at the trade show, they would like to capture product information and capture information about the suppliers that supply those products. They want to do that while they're at the trade show. So we've identified 2 subsystems for this trade show system: the supplier information subsystem and the product information subsystem. Let's go through the core processes. Core process 1 usually starts before an official project is approved. Preliminary information is necessary to know if a new system is even justified. First, we identify the problem and document it with a system vision document. Second, we obtain approval and get funding. Here is an example of a system vision document. It usually includes a short description of the need or the problem, a preliminary list of what the system needs to do, in other words, its capabilities, a preliminary list of what the anticipated benefits will be. Once the project is approved, then we can start the actual project. And these are the activities of core process 2. Plan the project. In this core process, we determine how big the project is, what are the major subsystems. Then we estimate how many iterations will be required and what is the output of each iteration. We also find team members and make preliminary assignments. In other words, we get the project organized. One way we do this is with a work breakdown structure. Here's a sample of a work breakdown structure. It helps to identify all the work that is required for this project. This is an example of a schedule that might be built from the work breakdown structure. You will see that the steps in this schedule correspond very closely to the work breakdown structure in the previous slide. Those are the activities of core process 2, the project planning. Core process 3, remember core project 3 is analysis. In the activities of this core process, the development team will investigate in detail and document 2 types of information. One is the use cases. And the use cases are used to document the functions of the new system, how it works, what it does. The second information is the list of the object classes, and that will document the data and the information that the new system will maintain. In our supplier information subsystem, we have defined 4 different use cases. Look up supplier, enter or update supplier information, look up contact information, enter or update contact information. An activity diagram can be used to look inside of a particular use case to understand the flow of work. This is a more detailed example of how to document a particular use case. In this situation, we are documenting the workflow that goes inside of the lookup supplier use case. Object classes, on the other hand, capture information about the data, or it documents the data that will be maintained by the new system. In this example, we have identified 4 object classes: supplier, contact, product, and product picture. Core process 4 is a design activity. There are several things that must be designed. One, we must design the database, the schema, the tables, and so on. Second, we must design the high-level structure of the system, the architectural design. Third, we design user interfaces or screens. And fourth, we design the actual application software, or the programs themselves. Here is an example of two tables in the database and their attributes or columns. So the supplier table and the contact table, and their attributes, the attributes are the columns that will be in the tables. Core process 5. In this core process, we build, test, and integrate. This is where we do the actual programming. We also integrate the work done into a growing system. Remember, in iterative development, we gradually grow the new system. And of course, we test it as we put new components in to see that it all works together. Core process 6. This we do the system testing to make sure it all runs correctly. Then we get the user involved so that they can verify that it does solve the business problem and does everything that it was supposed to do. We call this user acceptance testing. And in some iterations we will deploy part of the system. In this case we are deploying the supplier subsystem. In this video, the example in chapter 1, we have illustrated one complete iteration of an overall project. Notice that we did include all 6 core processes even in this first iteration. And in our example we even deployed one subsystem. This project might only require 2 iterations, but most projects will have many more iterations.